Welcome back to RNG Small Ball, and today we're talking about the NBA play-in race. Because with just a couple of days left in the regular season, both conferences are a mess in the best possible way. Let's start with some structure, because the play-in format can get confusing fast. Seeds 7 through 10 in each conference enter the play-in tournament. The 7 and 8 seeds play each other, the winner gets the 7th seed in the first round. The 9 and 10 seeds then play each other, and the loser goes home. Then the loser of the 7 and 8 game plays the winner of the 9 and 10 game for that final 8 seed. It's a brutal format if you're on the bubble, and right now, a lot of good teams are right on that line. Let's start in the East, and the top of the bracket is mostly settled. Detroit has locked up the 1 seed at 58 and 22. Boston is the 2 seed at 54 and 26, and New York is the 3 seed at 52 and 28, with the head-to-head tiebreaker over both Boston and Cleveland. Cleveland is the 4 seed, Toronto is the 5, and Atlanta just clinched the 6th seed and a guaranteed playoff berth. They win over the Cavaliers today. That means the East play-in is currently Orlando as the 7, Philadelphia as the 8, Charlotte as the 9, and Miami as a 10. And here is where it gets genuinely interesting, because just 2 games separate those 4 teams. Orlando is 44 and 36, Philly is 43 and 37, Charlotte is also 43 and 37, and Miami is 42 and 39. So every result this final weekend reshuffles those matchups, and the tiebreaker scenarios are layered on top of that. Philadelphia holds the tiebreaker over Charlotte and Orlando, but loses it to Atlanta and Miami. Charlotte holds tiebreakers over Atlanta and Orlando, but loses to the 76ers and Heat. So it is genuinely difficult to map out where everyone lands without a flowchart because the standings are so close. What makes this even more interesting though is the matchup implications. If Orlando holds the 7th seed, they host Philadelphia in the very first play-in game. If the order flips, you get a completely different bracket. Orlando has been one of the better defensive teams in the league all season, and Philly, even without a full roster, has enough offensive gravity to make that a competitive game. On the other side, Charlotte versus Miami as a 9-10 matchup would be a one-and-done elimination game with real playoff energy. Both of those teams have players who know how to perform in high-stakes moments. The bigger picture in the East is that the play-in field is made up of teams that, on paper, probably shouldn't scare the top seeds too much. But the play-in isn't a paper exercise, it is a single game, and single games are decided by shots that go in or don't. Orlando's defense alone could give whoever comes out of these 2-seed matchup a headache in the first round. Now the West, and this is where things get particularly chaotic. The top is settled. Oklahoma City is the 1 seed, San Antonio is the 2, Denver is the 3, and then Los Angeles and Houston are battling for 4 and 5. The play-in field out west is Phoenix as the 7, the Clippers as the 8, Portland as the 9, and Golden State as the 10. Phoenix at 44 and 36 holds the top play-in spot and would host the Clippers in the 7 and 8 game if that holds. That is a fascinating matchup, and honestly one that is harder to call than the seeding suggests. The Clippers have been one of the better teams in the league in the second half of the season and come in with real momentum. This is not an 8th seed that is just happy to be there. Devin Booker gives Phoenix home court credibility, but LA is a genuine threat to win that game outright. The Clippers do lose a head-to-head tiebreaker to Portland, meaning a Trailblazers win tonight would flip the 8 and 9 seeds heading to Sunday. Portland at exactly .500, 40 and 40 is the most surprising story in this field. This is a team that was widely expected to be a lottery team at the beginning of the year, and they are instead competing for a play-in spot in a tough Western Conference. That is legitimate organizational progress, whatever happens from here. Then there's Golden State, 10th seed at 37 and 43. The Warriors, a franchise with 6 finals appearances in the last decade, are on the wrong side of the play-in bubble. Tonight they play Sacramento, which is a favorable matchup on paper, but even if they win, they still need things to go their way on Sunday. Steph Curry in a play-in game would be a must-watch television game, but getting there is not guaranteed for this team right now. Here's what I think is worth keeping in mind as all of this shakes out. The play-in format is genuinely punishing for teams on the wrong side of the bracket. A 7 or 8 seed gets 2 chances to advance, and a 9 or 10 seed gets only 1. That asymmetry matters enormously, which is why Portland and Los Angeles fighting over that 8 versus 9 distinction tonight is not a small thing. It is the difference between a lifeline and a coin flip. On the eastern side, the team I think that is most underrated in this conversation is actually Miami. They are the 10th seed right now, which means they would have to win 2 games just to reach the playoffs. But this is a Heat team with playoff experience, baked into the culture at this point, and they thrive in these exact environments. If they win the 9 and 10 game and then beat the loser of Orlando Philadelphia, They are a serious problem for whoever draws them as the 8th seed. In the West, Phoenix is the team I keep coming back to. If they hold the 7th seed and win the first play-in game, they are in the playoffs and matched up against the 2 seed, which right now is San Antonio. A Suns-Spurs first-round series featuring Devin Booker and Victor Wembanyama will be one of the best first-round matchups we have seen in years. That series alone is worth rooting for the play-in picture to resolve the way it is currently set up. 2 games remaining for everyone. The regular season ends Sunday, and by Sunday night, we will have our full play-in bracket locked in. What I can tell you right now is that there is genuine competitive basketball left to be played, in both conferences, and in multiple games, before any of this is settled. And that is exactly what you want from the end of a regular season. You should watch the games this weekend, as they matter more than they usually do this late in April. That's all for this episode of RG Small Ball. Thanks for listening, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.